You see that right there? That's my new gaming and editing do whatever PC. Which means I'm gonna have to get rid of my old one. That PC, I've had that thing for about 4 years now, rolling on 4 years, and it was my first glimpse into the PC master race, if you will. I'm not gonna get emotional over it, but definitely sad to see it go because it was my first computer, and I was really happy with it. I was really happy with the way it turned out. Really happy with the way it turned out, but now I'm going to try to get some extra cash off of it, so I'm going to bring you through the process of me cleaning it up. I reseated the CPU cooler, and also the dual channel on my motherboard just decided to stop working, so I'm going to go through that with you guys too. But first I'm going to give you guys a quick little rundown of what was actually inside the system and what I did to it. I mean, I cleaned it and I installed the CPU cooler, but what was in there originally was an i7 6700K from Intel, obviously. Everything was stock. I never tried overclocking or anything like that. I was brand new. I had a Hyper 212 Evo, the original like silver black ugly one on top of that, and surprisingly that was like a great cooler. It was like $20, $30. It is a great cooler. It kept a 6700K, which runs at 4 gigahertz, about 60 degrees Celsius, which is very impressive if you look at that. Like even today, it had, I'll show you this actually. Oh, actually I don't know if I can, because it's all the way in the back. But when I first built the system, it had 16 gigabytes of EVGA memory in it. Somehow I ended up buying it. Long story short, it died. So I bought these and replaced it because it was just boot looping forever. So it had 16 gigs of 2400 megahertz. That got me through the remaining years I had with it. GTX 970 G1 Gaming, which is like a very high overclocked, factory overclocked version of the 970. Like, it was a monster, that video card. I would say it was about on point performance-wise with the GTX 1070 Ti or a 1080. It was very good. But the 2060 Super I have here is better. Other than that, I had a 120 gigabyte SSD Samsung 860 EVO for my boot drive, and then I had a 2 terabyte hard drive for storing other things, games, stuff like that. All the fans in the case were stock, except I started to get a bit more tech savvy, and I say tech savvy because what I ended up doing is I installed 3 Be Quiet Silentwings 3 fans on the top as intakes. Now I had 6 intake fans and 1 exhaust fan. Don't ask me why, it just made me happy. Those got really dusty. Never really cleaned the system. Well, I did clean the system. Sometimes I would open it up and dust it down, but I never actually would take the time and take the individual parts out and clean them. So I knew that I was going to do that this time when I actually try to sell it so it looks presentable. But since those are my fans, and they're very good fans, and they're not necessarily cheap, they're like $30 fans, I took them back out and I have them for whatever. One of them is actually on the back of there. If you watch my other video on this build, you'll know that I actually made a mod. I taped it to the back. It actually helps with the GPU thermals a lot. So they are very good fans. I love them. Plus, having 6 intakes, I don't know. Another thing I did was I reseated, or actually I changed the CPU cooler I had. The Hyper 212 Evo was really, really ugly. It was a silver CPU cooler inside of a blacked out case with red lighting and blue lighting. I didn't like it. And plus I haven't changed the thermal paste in 4 years, and that thing's on almost every day for 8 hours. So I bought the Hyper 212 Black, which is essentially just the same cooler, but it's blacked out and it has like a better fan and it's just a redesign. So it's better in some regards and it looks a lot better. So I popped that on there. It was like $25 on Amazon, I think I got it. I got it for a really good deal. Popped that on there, put some Thermal Grizzly. It runs like 5C cooler, which is dope, and it looks a lot better too. I also took a bunch of time to actually dust the system out. I cleaned all the filters. I took the front panel off and actually blew all the dust out of it, and there was a lot of dust in there, like big, like dust bunnies this big were coming out. I had to do it outside. Had an RM 650X from Corsair. Oh, and the side panel was starting to get really scratched up. It's acrylic. You can't really... yeah. I brought the computer. It was working. It was right here on my desk. I brought it downstairs on like my dining room table, so I had a workspace to work on it. Popped it down. I dusted it, took the CPU cooler off, put it back on, and I went to boot up the system, and it got stuck in a boot cycling loop every time I would turn it on, which means the RAM is not dead, but that usually means it's a RAM issue. I looked at the postcode it's given me. Lo and behold, it was failing to initialize the RAM. I don't know why. I took one stick out. It works. It only works with a single channel. I tried 2 different RAM kits. I tried putting just this stick in and just the other stick in and putting them in different slots. It only works if there's 1 stick of RAM in. It doesn't matter which slot it's in. As soon as you pop 2 in, it doesn't work. I don't know what it is. I didn't do anything. I just changed the CPU cooler, which has nothing to do with that. You know, it's probably is the motherboard, because I've tried it with 3 different RAM kits and it didn't work. But it's not that the DIMM slots are dead. I just think there's something weird going on with the dual channel. I don't know what I didn't do anything. Like, I didn't do anything. After that, I tried clearing the CMOS. Nothing happened. So yeah, now there's only 8 gigabytes in there. That's really not, that's really kind of pushing it for games these days, because they're approaching 8 gigabytes of RAM usage, especially the higher titles. And even like if you want to play something like modded Minecraft, 8 gigabytes, Oh, and one final thing. The rear exhaust fan, 140mm exhaust, stock NZXT fan, kind of sucks. I mean, the bearing on it was going bad, and I knew about this for about a year. It's been doing it, and my solution to make it stop making the noise is once the system was turned on, it would start going. I have, let me see if I can find it right here. I had this rolled up Post-it note, and I would stick it in through the fan grill and stop the fan blade and take it out, and I would do that a couple times, and that would usually fix it. So I got this Cooler Master 120mm fan. It's not a 140 exhaust, it's a 120 now. I don't really give a shit. Yeah, it was just a spare fan I had from my Cooler Master Elite 130 garbage stock case fan, but it was gonna do the job. Took the other one out, threw that one in, and we have a fully functioning, clean, good-looking system that I'm going to sell on eBay. I'll leave the links in the description below if you want to check it out if you're looking for a new rig. But anyways, with all that said, here is the time lapse of me cleaning it. The bearing on it was going bad, and I knew about this for about a year. It's been doing it, and my solution to make it stop making the noise is once the system was turned on, it would start going. Argh. So I got this Cooler Master 120 millimeter fan. It's not a 140 exhaust; it's a 120 now.